All right, welcome everyone. You are tuned in to a Climate Education Month series with the Office of Sustainability at the University of Hawaii. This Lunch and Learn series is brought to you by our JCI Vista, Sustainability and Resilience Vista with the University of Hawaii at Hilo. And this is the second episode in our Climate Education Month series. We will be having two more events this month on Friday next week and the Friday following. Next week's topic is on exploring the intersectionality of queerness, women, and environmental oppression. That's Friday, October 22nd. And then Friday, October 29th, we have another seminar on reimagining invasive species in a changing planet. And with that, I will turn it over to Anya to get us started.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Like Laurel said, this is the Climate Education series where we're offering talk story sessions throughout the month, and they're focusing on intersecting topics surrounding sustainability. And what I mean are topics where we really explore the root causes of the climate crisis, while at the same time honoring and exploring the different ways that we are growing, adapting, and healing to the ever-changing world, the rapidly changing world. So with us last week, we heard from Presley Ke'alanuhea Amuksang as she shared her journey of creating Hu'uhuluhulu University on Mauna Kea and her vision of education. And today I'm really excited to announce that we're going to be hearing from Leilani Ka'ohunani Yates as she shares her story of what healing through art means for her. But before I introduce Leilani and today's session, I'm just going to go over a couple guidelines with you as well as introduce myself and the space that I'm coming within today. So if you have any questions throughout this session, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We will go over. Laurel will be our chat moderator, and at the end of the session, we'll have time to go over all of the questions. So please, whenever you feel compelled to ask questions, throw them in the chat and we'll get to them. And I just wanted to introduce myself today before I introduce Leilani. So my name is Anya Ellen Benavides, and I'm here with you today from my home in Mountain View, near the top of the skinny Ahupua'a of Waikahekaheki in the Moku of Puna in Hawaii. Last week, I shared a piece of my ancestry through my name. So my name, Anya, it is symbolic of my mixed European settler heritage from my mom's side. And my last name, Benavides, it connects me to my birth father's family who immigrated to California from Mexico, Guatemala, and likely other lands too. I grew up feeling disconnected from and also unfamiliar with my Latina side. And one way that I did begin trying to reconnect to that side of myself was through art. So during last session, I invited everyone who are settlers to these lands to take a moment to recognize and reflect on what we're actively doing to learn from and support the Native Hawaiian community, as well as the lands that we're living on. This week, since our theme is art, I wanted to take a moment to recognize our local artists and all that they do for the community. So I am inviting everyone who's here with us today to share any names or social media accounts of local artists that that mean something to you in the chat. So a moment of sharing. Are there any local artists who've inspired, awed, or even just caught your attention? And please drop a link or their names in the comments, like what kind of artist they are, where they're from. And yeah, we can just use that as a moment to share. We'll give a couple minutes for that. So yeah, everyone is invited to say something. And Laurel, do you want to, I see we're getting a few. Do you want to read them out to everyone?
Sure, we got a few so far. We have Estria murals throughout Kaimuki on Oahu, Punahele, was Wendy's suggestion. And then an artist I really enjoy is Tarn Ellis. Lucy mentioned Haunani Hess, who's a visual artist in Kaimuki. And those are the responses we have. Feel free to continue populating in the chat. I'm sure everyone would enjoy to see later.
Yeah, we can share those at the end.
Oh, Kelly. I see names I recognize.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. So with that, I am super happy to share and introduce Ka'ohu Kreations Art and Tattoos. So Ka'ohu Kreations Art and Tattoos come from Big Island, Hawaii. Leilani, here with us today, is the creator, an artist whose creative spirit shines through her many forms of art and tattoos with a connection to spirit and the natural world. Leilani's art is made with pure love, healing, the practice of aloha ʻāina, and intention. Her inspiration comes from Polynesia, tribal ancient art, symbolic pattern work, and adornment style feminine designs. She opened her studio, Ola Loa Studio, in 2019, providing a safe and unique tattoo environment that is welcoming and safe for women, diversity, and those looking for large-scale body work in a private space. I first met Leilani when I was still a teenager. I was just snooping around downtown Hilo, looking at the tattoo shop, South Seas Tattoo, that she used to work at. But I didn't see her for a few years after that. And I didn't get my first piece from her until a couple of years ago. I got a constellation of phytoplankton wrapped around my hands. And I got this tattoo as a reminder that all of the organisms that not only produce our oxygen, but keep our soils and our waters healthy and ultimately keep all life on Earth going. I came to Leilani with a vision, and not only did she create something beautiful, but she facilitated a space for me to wear something on my body that holds me accountable to all of the networks that I exist within on this planet. Looking down at my hands reminds me of those connections and how important it is to protect all beings on Earth. I think we'll come back to these connections later, but for now, I am super happy to open this space up to Leilani. So Leilani,
Aloha.
yes, thank you.
Hi, Anya.
Hi. So the first question, or the first piece I'm going to ask you to share, is your origin story. So this can be whatever that means to you and whatever you feel like sharing with everyone today.
Sure, yes. Aloha, everyone. Thank you for joining. I've seen many clients in Ohana on here now, and I'm pretty stoked. Thank you. Aloha kākou, o ko'ohu ko'inoa, no California maiau. He kanakolu kumaono o mau makahiki. Yeah, so I'm Ka'ohu. I'm from California. I was born in Sacramento in the Bay Area. I'm 36 years old. I live in ʻāina loa, so I'm actually at home right now on the video. Yeah, so my origin story is growing up in a city. I didn't grow up on Big Island. My mother, Tanya Mae Moikea Davis, she's from California and made her way back and forth to the islands throughout her life. My dad, Brett Gordon Yates, he's from the Bay Area. Brought us over here by plane in the early 90s. So I've been here, make my way to Kohala. North side is where I grew up. Yeah, I grew up around my mother. She was a hula practitioner. So I grew up with hula was a big part of my life. We did a lot of performing. So I was always involved with the arts. My father was a woodworker. He did construction. My mother, she was always involved with hula. So we were also doing a lot of shows when I was growing up, and just involved with the arts, music, mele. I was always drawing. Yeah, sorry, I'm pretty nervous about this, but I'm trying to just share, yeah, where I came from. My home here on Big Island, it's been a crazy journey. I used to live in Kohala. I've lived in Waimea, O'Kala, Lapuihoi. I've lived in Honolulu, in Hilo, in Puna, Mountain View and Volcano, and back to Puna. So I've definitely just felt very connected to the east side of Hawaii. Yeah, so.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, it sounds like you've moved around a lot, and one thing that I noticed throughout your story is how you said that you were always drawing, and just how kind of art was always there. So I know this is kind of a big question, but what does art mean to you? And this could be kind of even just what art used to mean to you and what it's evolved to meaning now, but just any way that you want to answer that.
Sure, yeah. Well, art to me, it is my world. It's my life. It's all I know how to communicate, just how I see the world visually. It's just a part of who I am. There's no other way to explain it than it's just what I've gravitated towards my whole life is symbolism, just art that really represents the kauna, deeper meaning of things, and our environment, our ohana, and where we've come from. My art background is not in any traditional setting. I worked in normal tattoo shops, walk-in shops, and I started at home. I am a self-taught artist who I was drawing from a very young age, and it was my outlet. It was my form of meditation, my way to just express and be creative. It's what I am best at. It's what, I've always thought I'd be some kind of artist. I just didn't know where that would lead. So when I started drawing, of course, I never thought I would be a tattoo artist, but it was a huge part of my life growing up. Seeing Polynesian designs and art throughout hula too is a big part of it, with our pa'us and, kapa designs. It was just all a big, heavy influence for me. And what I drew always, went towards pattern work, real heavy tribal work. I've always worn it on myself, and also it's what I've been just naturally best at when I draw or when I tattoo. It's what comes out the most natural to me. But art is, it's everything. It's my world. It's a reason why I've pursued it, why I don't have children. I don't have keikis of my own. I have a stepson with me, but it's my world. It's what I like to put most of my energy in. So I really have to, be careful with myself so that I can give my all into my art and be able to work on others. And so it's just something I never thought would get to this point now in my journey where I'm at, but I'm really thankful for all the experiences I've had and all the people to get me to where I'm at now, and especially in this art form on canvas, on the body, and also just as a woman doing what I'm doing and pursuing it, just being such an artistic person, and just someone who's been always drawn to tattoos from a young age. When I was 14 years old, I started getting tattoos pretty young. It's just been a part of my life for a very long time that I don't see myself doing anything else. But definitely drawing was a huge part. Drawing and painting is a huge part of my growing up, whether I do with others or it'd be something that I would take time to do for myself, just as a young girl growing up, kind of translating what I see into an art form. Yeah, so
Yeah, thank you.
I can go into more about just how I started tattooing.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually what I was gonna ask next, but you could share that. And also I'm wondering what kind of, if you can recall, what kind of made you want to start tattooing? Were there any tattoos that you saw, or like how did that kind of transition for you to where you decided that that's something you wanted to pursue?
Sure, yeah, well, like I said, I was very young. I started getting tattooed 14, 15. My earliest memories of tattoos was probably on a grandpa I had a military style tattoos, but also just from going to a lot of festivals when I was young. We did a lot of performing arts and a lot of hula performances. It was kind of more of a performing halau. So, you know, I did Tahitian and Maori style dancing and hula, more awana, more for show. And at those festivals, I would see amazing black work, big black work from all over Polynesia. And this was in California. But you know, as a young girl dancing, it blew my mind seeing this heavy work, you know, over there in the Bay Area. I think just because I've been drawn to art from such a young age, I just naturally, and being here on the island so long, I've naturally been so drawn to tattoos and on the body and art. It just fascinated me. And I was consistent getting tattooed since I was about that age. My dad has plenty tattoos, my mom. So when I started, I was around, I don't know, 18, 19. I did tattoo at home. My friends, my family, everybody encouraged me. I was getting tattoos done, but everyone suggested that I draw their artwork for them and so they could get tattooed. And so my dad actually supported me and said he would buy the kit for me, you know, and I could tattoo him. And I did. I tattooed my dad, my mom, my brother. And at that time, also, my sister was a student in UH, a full Hawaiian study. She's fluent Ola Loa, and a lot of our titas there at Punana Leo, I started tattooing them. A lot of kumus wanted artwork from me, and I think just from there it took off, and everybody wanted from me, and many wanted me to do it because I'm a wahine, and you know, they just felt more comfortable coming to me than going anywhere else. So I didn't start the right way, not a traditional way, not the best setting, but I really pursued it inside and knew that I needed to push harder, and I did as much work as I could. I went all around the island. I did that for several years and just tattooed at everyone's houses. And that was the experience I wanted the most, was because I was able to go to their house, be with these people, be with their family, see how they live and eat and, you know, what they do together. And I could be there, you know, with the whole family while I did this work. But yeah, I also, during that time, I was around 19 or so, and my parents suggested I work with my dad. So I was a construction laborer for a long time before I even tattooed in a shop. So before I was dedicated in a shop, I did labor work on the Kauai, Kona side, Waikoloa, you know, full on construction gear. I did it 6 or 7 years before I started doing it the right way. I practiced on many people. I never charged, you know, monies during that time, and just tried to make it while I was working a regular job. Mm-hmm. So thank you to everybody who I got to tattoo through the years, many years before I made it to a bonsai tattoo, native flesh tattoo for a short time. And I was the longest at South Seas Tattoo in Hilo for about 5 years. they were a huge influence on me for sure, and kind of definitely put my name out more with my art. So this is just feels like 20 years in the making. The beginning, you know, I did plenty wrong that I knew, you know, it affected me. I went through my years of feeling not regret with just, you know, not doing it the correct way, but I refused to give it up and I still pursued it. And many said no for apprenticeships at the time. It was before Instagram and before I had to just get out there, share my art, go to art galleries. I did art shows in Hilo. I went to concerts and did booths there. I just took on any kind of booth or market work that I could, just sell my art, and that helped a lot. Through the years, I also traveled to California to see Ohana over there, and I would tattoo out there too. Just in the last 4 or 5 years, I've gone to a few seminars just out of state, just to help myself learn more what I need to, yeah, just educate myself a little more and share my art, get better at what I do, and unlearn all the wrong I was doing. And yeah, just see where my art would take me, expand, and just maybe get into other art opportunities too, besides tattooing.
Right.
But yeah, this is just something I never thought I would do growing up, but it's who I am now. This is a part of who I am, is this artwork that I get to, I'm so blessed I get to do it every day, and work with so many people, community people. So I'm excited to, yeah, just share all that. I've never shared it with too many people, but a lot of my clients know, but it was, you know, the construction time was probably not the best environment for me as an artist, but I had to work and help the Ohana at the time. And I was really drawn towards more masculine jobs and being more physical in my work or being outside. So I don't know how I lasted that long doing it. I almost thought I would be an architect. My grandpa on my dad's side is an architect, and he definitely instilled in me drawing, just putting that dedication into the time, you know, put in more time than most do. You just have to practice, and that is helped me to strive to get where I am now. So yeah, anyway.
It sounds like it's been such a journey. And what I also just noticed from this is the people that you've tattooed along the way. So just how these connections have also formed through your art and through your work. And I know that there are people here today that have work from you and that have heard part of your story through getting work from you. So I just want to direct a question at the audience, and maybe we could do this later, or just something for everyone to reflect on here. And I'm asking all of you what tattoos mean to you and why we get them. And I think there's a lot of different answers for this, but it's just open for anyone who wants to share. And we can talk about that more later. But I just think that would be a nice question to ask, since I know there are some people here that are a part of that question. And with that, you did talk about this a little bit already, but if you'd like to share more about your experience as a woman in an art, in a work that is still male-dominated, right? So like tattooing as a woman, it's whatever you want to share about your experience, because I know that a lot of people come to you because you are a woman and you are offering that safe experience for women and all bodies.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, for me as a woman going through it, it wasn't easy. You know, it took a lot of effort and dedication to a higher purpose of what I'm doing, just to be able to stick with it for so long. Like I said, I didn't start traditional way. I was an at-home artist, and I know many artists would look down on that. But I know that my intention to get to a point was there. At the time, there was only one woman artist on Big Island that I really wanted to work with that was, on this side of the island. And she would tell me no at the time, just people are busy and it takes a lot to apprentice someone. But, and many artists have had crazy experiences with apprenticeships that were really hard, a lot harder than mine. I think me, it was probably just more hard because of just the kind of woman I am. I'm very sensitive and empathic, compassionate, and just more sensitive. And in this kind of world, I didn't want to let that stop me from becoming a tattoo artist and being able to do this kind of heavy work that a lot of male artists, are doing. I've just been drawn to it so much that it's that urge that pushes me to do it, even though it can be scary at times. But I think if it's something you really want to do, I did all I could to stick with it, even when it was hard, or when others may not understand what I'm doing or may not see that deeper side of the tattoo world. It's probably a big reason why I pursued it on my own for so long, because I was limited to what was here on the Big Island, and I still had to work a regular job, full time, almost overtime. So any extra time I had was put into tattoo. It still took, it feels like a long, slow journey. It does not feel like it happened just so quickly. It really feels like about 20 years to me. But I'm really proud of myself for doing it, because there's many times that I did stop and have to kind of take a break, or I would get down about what I was doing. If I was worthy enough to be doing this work, and just for how I started doing it at home. But right now I know what I'm doing is needed. It's so needed because there's only so many women artists. It's different here in Hawaii to go through that apprenticeship. Might not be as hard as some places you go to, but I think it's just from starting out in, in walk-in style shops, my way through art now is completely different. It's changed, and the person I was when I started, and even just 5 or 6 years ago, I feel like a completely different person from that time. So now I'm hoping to share art that is more naturally comes out, symbolic, Polynesian island style work, that before I would just take on whatever I could in any styles. And now I'm definitely trying to go towards more of a healing tattoos, or, art that people can connect to more of their place here and their families, their ancestry, that's the work that draws me in more now. And a huge reason why I knew as a woman I needed to do this, because there wasn't always those options to have a more special environment to do it in, that wasn't a million people walking around, that we could be a little more intimate in our conversations and spend a lot more time together before starting the tattoo and also after the tattoo. So there's so many different things that brought together Ola Loa Studio, so that women of the community can, have a much more safe and comfortable space to get their work done, to, create their ritual in their own way too, while getting this tattoo work, just having a woman touching them on their body. I know what I do is needed. This work is so healing beyond more than we can even see. And that's what I'm a part of. That's what I want to help share, especially for women and, women of this island, and all these women that I tattoo, and they're half naked on the bed, and, we want a more private space to be able to do that. I've always wanted that when I, tattoo with my work. I want the environment to feel safe and not, you know, maybe other men around that you just don't feel comfortable around. And I think also as a woman who's gone through different traumas, sexual traumas, or just family issues that, you know, have really affected you in your life, it's for some women, they can't just go to any shop. They need to find that safe place, that artist that can really see them and understand that, you know, we've all gone through these things in life, but the tattooing ritual of itself is so important. It's so important. And, you know, I might not always do those rituals or chanting before and have that more of that traditional style, but I know my intention for what I do and at the studio is that environment carries that. I want that feeling there for when people come in, men and women of all ages. But of course, I support wahine's more than anything because it's not an easy world out there nowadays, and for women to wear such heavy work and heavy artwork on them and express who they are through their skin and their bodies, which already get so much attention, but it, you know, it can, anyway, I hope I'm staying on your subject, but.
You are. I think what you're talking about is very important. And to me, it sounds like what you're describing is like, it's an exchange instead of a transaction, right? So people aren't just coming in and paying, and like there's a whole process, and there's consent. And I think that's something so important. And you know, I'm throughout this series talking a lot about consent and how lack of consent is directly related to the state of our planet, to all of the things that have been taken from the lands, just people not consenting and taking. And you know, that I think in my experience and opinion, that's the same that happens to women. So I think it's really important that you brought that up and you're fostering a safe space for women to come and have healing work done. And this, I think this is related, and this can transition into aloha ʻāina. So I have a story, but maybe I can after you share what aloha ʻāina means to you, or I can share it before, up to you. You might know the story I'm going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I was working in Waipio one day through a Pohaha i Kalani organization. And I was down there and someone came up to me and she was like, "Hey, is that work from Ka'ohu?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we were just in the lo'i, like doing work and weeding and, you know, like trying to help maintain the kalo. And we were just talking about tattoos that we had gotten from you. And both of those tattoos were connected to like our relationship with land and like reminding us like why it's important to connect and also to like, you know, fight to protect the land. And then someone else came up to us and she was like, "Hey, I also have a tattoo from Ka'ohu." And it was also like her tattoo was symbolic of her connection to land. So there were just three of us there, like doing work in the lo'i, and we had all tattoos that we had gotten from you. And we were just talking about the experience and how it had been healing for all of us to just share space with you, and how safe and welcoming it was for us. And yeah, so I'm wondering now, like what aloha ʻāina means to you, or how you foster it through your work.
Sure, yeah, aloha ʻāina to me. This was a tough one for me for a long time because I would always think, you know, about working in the land, putting my hands more in the land, physically going to more of these places and, you know, malama, the āina. to me, though, for this subject in healing art, I would say aloha ʻāina has to do with healing from within. It's from starting with the self, because not all of us have access to go to do these things or work in the lo'i, or they're just starting out to find out what aloha ʻāina really means to them. There's many out there doing amazing work every day. Kumu's I know doing aloha ʻāina work every day, but to me, it's that self-care. How can we put our hands in the ʻāina if we're not making right with ourselves? Or, what that means to me is also through the artwork can show, your dedication to the land around you and how you're taking care of it. My part in aloha ʻāina, I feel, is through the healing arts. To me, if I can help my community and help women and help these students like you and conservationists, people who are trying to live a more self-sustaining life, people who move here and want to start growing and start planting those seeds. Art and tattoos is a huge part of aloha ʻāina. It's a huge, it's what most of my art on myself has to do with, coming from that spiritual realm too. It's kind of bringing it down into our reality, on our bodies, so that we can go out and work the land in a more peaceful way. We can walk with our head a little higher because we feel, more sacred in ourselves, that we can do as much work as we can in the best way we can without feeling like, it's not enough, or how much aloha ʻāina can you show? And we might feel like we're still working on ourselves to get to that point. Hopefully I'm making sense. I feel like what I do and my purpose is definitely in service of aloha ʻāina, because I know how much tattoos have healed me and situations, traumatic things I've been through, and many I've been through that I hear every day from my clients and amazing women that I've been tattooing over 10 years, just some almost 20 years, and many who've gotten tattooed by me from the beginning when I started, and are still coming to me and still trust me with their bodies. So to me, if we can heal more of us, heal the women, heal the people of our community, and the ones that are out there in ʻāina, the ones that are doing these jobs, that are very well educated. And, that was something I would always put down on myself. I don't have that same schooling education like my sister did, or I was working. I was a hard worker, and just, that was my world, was art and working a normal job. So trying to do that, and then also, going into the work I do now, it was, it's worth it to me. It's a part of who I am, to be able to share my art that can help heal people as they go about their day, as they're living with their families. This art is a part of who we are as island people. I mean, look at where we all walk every day. You are not going to not see a tattoo on somebody. It's a part of our livelihood. It's, especially as women, it's, more accepted to wear it too freely and show our bodies and our artwork here in Hawaii. So I'm very blessed that we can, bring back our indigenous sides too, and show that in our art and our ancestry through our artwork on our body. It's a huge healing. It's a big part of healing is, healing the family traumas also, and feeling more connected to a side of you that maybe you didn't feel before. It's, if you can walk a little lighter on the land you live, treat yourself like you're a sacred being too, not just the land. It's what you do when you go home, and the food you eat. To me, aloha ʻāina also has to do with, your food you're eating and what you're putting into your body every day. Are we malama ʻāina but not ourselves, then it doesn't quite fit. It's kind of goes hand in hand with, the art we're wearing. We want to show it in action and embody it out in the world and what we're doing, no matter where you come from or where you live,
Yeah. That's something that always stuck out. I think, every time I've been with you, because we've done hours of work at this point, right? Like I've been in your shop. I got my whole bag. And
just so everyone knows, Anya's spent over 25 hours under the needle with me, so she's badass.
It was healing though, and just the way that you talked about how what you wear, it does, in a way, it does hold you accountable. What you choose to wear, it says something about how you want to exist in this world and what you want to show, and what means something to you. So I feel like that's definitely happened with me, where these tattoos are not only ways for me to heal, but they're also reminders of what's really important, and of a greater connection that maybe I don't always understand. Don't know if that makes sense, but
yes.
Yeah, what you're saying, it really resonates. So I just want to open it up. If you want to share any pieces that you've done or any on yourself that hold a special meaning to you.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. I'm sure many wonder about, my ʻāʻī tattoo, my neck one I've had for a little while now. This was done by Kristen Lowry. She's the owner of Salsi's Tattoo. I worked there a long time. This was actually from my own drawing design that I was working on for many years before I even asked her. I really wanted a woman artist to do this one on me. But it definitely was, at a time, I think it was 2014 when I got it, and my sister was with me. It means a lot to me because it definitely has to do with aloha ʻāina. I mean, symbolically, it's kind of showing from below the water of the microbes, kind of like your piece we're working on your back and your hands. It's just those microorganisms up into, the water, through the honua and land, the heavens, and up through, kind of your awakening almost. This was kind of my way to move more towards my purpose. And I knew if I was starting with this, as probably because I'm going to be covered eventually, but this was a start to commit to my higher purpose and what I'm doing with my art. And I definitely, it's hard in Hawaii. You gotta, as a working artist, you gotta work, and it's a struggle to also follow what you actually really want to do. So it just was a push for me towards connecting more to that identity of who I am, more on more connected to spirit, and bringing that down here to reality in our real everyday world. It's just that reminder. I wanted to see it every day, that it was a big step for me, of course, but I had to do it. It was just a call from within that I had many dreams about it. More current ones I would say that's kind of healing work right now in progress. Is I have some heavy black work that I'm working on now. This is by artist Ben Volt. I'm doing a big major arm cover up. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
I have my whole arm blacked out. So artist Ben, my friend, and he's an amazing, talented, graphic, solid black work artist. You got to check him out. This was kind of many reasons I got it. Cover up some old work, but also kind of a commitment with my partner, and our relationship, and keeping us pa'a together. just our commitment also to aloha ʻāina, because we're growers and we highly believe in that, you know, everyone here on the island should definitely try their best to grow their own food or grow what they can, or at least be a part of, you know, growing. So this was sort of another commitment towards him, and also, yeah, healing parts of me that I really don't connect with anymore. And it's, yeah, anyway, that was a heavy block when I'm getting, I have some work on my legs. I can share that. This is some old, don't mind my little pillow. I don't know if you can see that.
Really well, yeah.
This is a pretty heavy style piece. I have some work on my leg that I actually did myself. Some healing work. And I tattooed my own thigh and my legs. This was done by an artist named Doug from a design that I drew. Yeah, so this is just some of, I have my whole torso done. It kind of connects to that flowing of the breath, and it just enhances my connection to spirit. And that's the big reason why I get very ancient looking art. I've always been drawn to symbolic work and art that yeah, just has a more bigger purpose and meaning behind it. So like I said, yeah, it's all a connection to that spiritual world that sometimes I'm stuck in there. You know, I can really see the deeper meaning behind a lot of things, and I just try to translate it out into the work that I do. A huge part of the work I get is a big influence in where my art is kind of heading to, and has been working towards not necessarily just strictly tribal work, but just very universal work that comes from Polynesia and more just ancient symbolic designs, petroglyphs. You know, it's definitely a part of who we are as people, and marking those times in our life and healing when we overcome something. People write me every day when there's just that significant moment in their life, you know, someone's born or someone has died, and it's what better way to mark on yourself these significant times in our life through tattoos. You know, you carry it with you every day, and you know, it just makes me be a little more humble when I see other people's work. You know, we can't just see it, and, you know, we're not all living in our tribal days where we see it and identify with who you are, where you're from. And we also need to take the time to ask people what their art means to them, whether it's a skull or a star or a tribal work. You know, you don't know until you have that interaction with them and really hear them out and what it means for them. But yeah, a lot of my work is I have work from probably 10 different artists and also myself. So just through the years of collecting, working with many different people, trading, and I also traveled to get a little bit of work. Unfortunately, I haven't gone to Polynesia yet. My next adventures coming up is doing some of my own soul searching and finally having the time and you know, money to be able to go and do a little more traveling, hopefully next year, to just learn more about what I do and yeah, share, maybe get some more work too.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really awesome to hear some of the stories of your work. And you did answer, or you did, I think throughout you've shared how art, not just tattoos, but art has been healing for you. So as a broader question, what role do you think art has in healing our communities? And you've kind of talked about this as well, but if anything else to add on that?
Oh yeah, I think we need it. We need it more. We need it more in schools and it's such a language that many people speak, and we don't always have the opportunity to have access to it. And not everybody gets to go to school or gets to go to, you know, higher education for art. And I'm proof of that. This is just years of hard work and dedication and putting towards it. But in Hawaii, art comes in so many forms. I mean, we're in the most amazing place you can be, the most creative, you know, one of the most creative places in the world, where we can, you know, we can do murals on the walls and buildings. You see more art everywhere. There's music. There's more, yeah, just more outlets for us to express it. It's a huge part of who I am as a Hawaiian, is my artistic side, and being just the kind of woman that I am. It's, you know, it's not easy to always follow that path as an artist, whether it's just from our families, our upbringing, and what is the right path for you, especially if you want to, you know, survive in the islands. It's not easy to be an artist and really do it the way you want to do, or maybe not through schooling, and still pursue it here and then survive and be able to afford it. So you know, I understand both sides to that. But I think that if we don't have art, that's where our wellness goes down. That's where we're not taking care of ourselves, because it's a part of who we are. And if you suppress that, and we don't have those ways where we can, you know, be a writer, be drawing, or girls that want to grow up now and be tattoo artists, like, it's happening. We need to include it more, you know, include it in everything we do. You know, it needs to be, you know, almost at the top of the list, because it's through the artist's eyes, it can really show a whole nother side to our reality. Yeah, so I think, like I said, you know, anyone watching that wants to pursue anything in their art, or just to share or express it at home, do it, because even that painting you do at home can really help heal you. And, you know, if we do a little bit every day, it only will help everybody else. It'll help our community. It'll give ways for kids that maybe have anger issues or things or traumas at home, that will save you. You know, art will give you that purpose. It will help you to find your identity, who you are. Through my art, I was really able to overcome my own bad behaviors in the past, get over mistakes that I've made, and just try to, you know, art helps you to move on from things that have happened to you, and yeah, move you along your journey.
Thank you. We're just about to hear from our audience, but I have one more question. And again, I think this has been flowing through the entire conversation, especially aloha ʻāina, even with, you know, the Black work and the reminder of practicing food sovereignty at home and with your partner. But how can art support us through the rapid changes occurring around us? So the changes to our planet, to the land. If you want to share anything else about that.
Sure, yeah. I think our art can really help us connect more with our land, for sure. Most of the symbolic work I do has to do with our environment and where we live, and the elements, you know, our being here in Hawaii. It's a big part of that. I think, yeah, I don't know, I feel like I explained a lot of my meaning behind it, but I do believe that art is needed in this world, and especially in Hawaii for keikis and in school. And sometimes I wish I could see it more in the education setting. I'm not, you know, I don't work with keikis, and I'm usually with adults. But, you know, imagine a world without ukulele or music and guitar and, you know, our songs, our dance, our chanting, that's the arts, and expression is who we are as island people. And if you take that away, you are also, you know, the people won't be around for much longer either. Art is something that can spread awareness just through a painting or through an image, through a tattoo. It can really explain a whole story of, you know, just what you're about, or even you, or someone that's like doing conservation work and very, you know, very, sorry, I don't always have the right words to explain what I'm saying, but I'm definitely an advocate for artists for sure. You know, it's what I live and breathe, and I highly recommend anyone who hasn't done anything creative to maybe try, because it would really open up another side of you that you never thought was there, or it could open up to you connecting more to yeah, your place where you live, and you know, where we've grown up here, and ohana and family, and it's all about connection to that part of who you are.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think like the words that you've used have been beautiful, and I think it's resonated a lot. Like what I'm seeing from the chat so far. But I think it's time to turn it over to the questions and comments. So Laurel's gonna help us out with that. But yeah, thank you so much. It's really been amazing.
Thank you
so far.
Thank you, Anya. I really appreciate you asking me to do this, because I think I told you a few weeks ago when you first asked me, and I told you if anyone ever asked me to do some kind of talk or a video or something about my art, I would do it if it had to do with aloha āina or with healing art, healing through art. And you asked me, and I got to do it. I was like, if anyone else could, it should be coming from me and from a woman in a different point of view, and you know, from another perspective. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Leilani. Our first question is from Jordan, who has a multi-part question, and I'll ask this part first because I feel many people may also be wondering, how can folks schedule with you?
Oh, well, email is the best way. Kreations@gmail. If those of you know where Ola Loa Studio is, I usually work by appointment, so please email, give me your ideas. If the gate is open at the shop, feel free to come up. You know, if it's closed, I'm probably busy, but I don't usually work by hours now. It's kind of appointment style. So mostly too because of COVID and what's going on. It's just kind of the way the world's going with tattooing now is appointments. So it helps me to plan those times out with you and give you the best of myself and to give you the tattoo. So please send an email to, yeah, my Kreations@gmail is a great way.
Great, and we've just dropped Leilani's email in the chat as well. Second part of the question from Jordan, he was curious to know about your shift from drawing to tattooing, and what was the first thing you tattooed? Who was the first person you tattooed?
So my shift from drawing to tattooing, yeah, that was scary. I was drawing many years, but I ended up being really encouraged by a lot of family and friends at the time to try it out because I was getting so much work on myself. So it was an interesting time. I think my first tattoo was on my friend Kaʻohunani. I was a little horoscope symbol. I tattooed my dad. I also tattooed him and did kind of a lot of different random ones, some band logos and some waves and Viking, Norse kind of work. But yeah, it was an interesting time when I just started tattooing because I had no idea where it would go to. it was just in that moment, and I knew that I was really drawn to it heavily.
Our next question's from Nainoa, who asks, how has your identity as a Hawaiian shaped your identity as an artist and vice versa?
Wow, Nainoa, good question. Well, honestly, as an artist, and I would say that my art is the hugest reason of what connected me more to my Hawaiianness is through my art, because it's, like I said, it was what I was most naturally drawn to. And I would always feel like, you know, I couldn't dance as well or chant or oli, or this was something that I felt like I could bring out as my Hawaiian side. And knowing, you know, a lot of Indigenous women would get a lot of work done on themselves, especially on the hands, especially on the face and intimate places. And I knew maybe that was my calling too, as a Hawaiian, that I'd want to be that person to help, you know, other Hawaiian women too, you know, to tattoo them. And it's definitely brought me closer to who I am now, just being more confident, being, you know, as a Hapa woman, I understand my place to here, and also it's connecting me more to my ancestry. So I'm still, you know, in progress and learning about it more and more, but it's always been a big part of who I am. Hopefully I'm answering everyone's question.
Absolutely. We're still waiting for more questions to come in. Anya, is there any other questions you'd like to bring up at this time?
I was also thinking we could read out people's responses to what tattoos mean to them. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had, scroll back up in the chat. Tattoos. So love, art, and self-expression. Mo'olelo, healing, self-expression, freedom, rite of passage. Someone wrote that one of their tattoos is of the word indelible, and the definition is making marks that cannot be removed. And they shared that a tattoo is a sort of lighthearted reminder that tattoos are what they are. It's art, it's part of me, it's permanent and pretty and true to me. That tattoo to me is a way to remember what that it's not that serious to embrace what I am by expressing that on my skin. The act of doing so is an expression of self just for me. Some really beautiful shares.
Beautiful. Very beautiful.
Another share was, tattoos began as a way to return ownership to my body and heal from medical trauma. They are now a way to collaborate with another artist to have wearable art on my body that reminds me of things that are important to me or bring me joy or share stories. Another share, tattoos are a way for me to remember perspectives or places in time that have impacted me and cope with the hardships that have surrounded them. And I think our last share on that topic was someone who does not have any tattoos, but who expressed that they're really enjoying the shares of what other people are sharing and what they mean to them. Yeah.
Wow.
One question came in from Jonathan, who asks, what are some exercises or ways people can reincorporate art and creating into their day-to-day life?
Good one. Well, I guess if you could start with what you're drawn to the most, if you want to kind of have more freedom, free flowing, painting is an amazing way to get out, to kind of be out of your comfort zone. It's nothing like tattooing in a way, because you can be so fluid and flowing, and painting is an amazing way. To me, through art is also with writing. I'm a big writer. I read a lot too, but writing is a big way. You can get into stamping or kapa arts if you want to get into more Hawaiian style arts. There's so much out there that you could get involved with. But at home, you know, start with drawing, start with painting, and allowing time to sit alone and work on those things and try something new. You can even just create a piece of art out of materials, or there's really it's boundless. So I think just starting somewhere at home is still an amazing creation that can come out of it. Thank you, Jonathan.
I'll add on to that for some exercises or practices people can incorporate. I remember that as a kid, my mom always had a scratch pad near the phone in the house. So whenever she was on the phone, I would see her doodling like just geometric designs or whatever came to mind. But it was just like kind of like a thoughtful meditation while she was engaged.
Nice.
And
Thank you.
Anya, do you have any practices for incorporating art into your life?
I think a lot of the things you mentioned, like I like sometimes, I like painting, and like makeup. I consider that a form of art. It's therapeutic and you can really get creative with it. Just how you style yourself. Like
Yes.
There's so many different ways of expression, I think, and being creative. Yeah, tattoos, you know, that it's also been that, like it's like we talked about before, it's accountability, but a lot of what I have is also there's the art element to it too. There's like there's so many, and I think like art does connect to a lot of things, like Leilani has said. Ooh, how do you find your niche in art? Just saw that question.
Ooh, I'm still finding my niche. I think it becomes a practice. You have to definitely dedicate time to art in whatever form draws you in. But it's not going to come, you know, in just that one time you sit down and do it. It's literally a journey that you kind of work through the years. Even my work, I definitely see it evolving and changing. Even the last 5 years, it's changed a lot in my purpose behind it and what I'm doing. So it's just that time and dedication that you put into it is for yourself. So the more you take the time or research or spend time trying different arts out, that's a huge way. If you're not exposed to it or it's in your family, then search it out, you know, go find kumus and go find workshops and art related educational things that you can join or go to. There's so much, there's a lot of resources, and you know, I'm one of many artists on Big Island and on the East Side, and there's so many out there, and these are the tools we can use online to find them too, and maybe get inspired by them. Or, you know, maybe some could help you with those artistic, finding your niche.
And I just thought of another question for you. So I'm trying to think of how to frame it. I just thought of it. But how do you see, what do you see, like what is something that you wish for, or what direction do you see yourself heading in with your art and your tattoos? I mean, I know you, like Ola Loa Studio is still kind of recent, like in the longer scheme of how long you've been tattooing. And I know that you're an apprentice now. So just what you want to share about what's forming and what's coming.
Sure, yes. Honestly, I'm really excited about what's to come. I feel like what I'm building here and my purpose behind Ola Loa Studio is really more than even tattooing. I definitely want it to merge into a more healing arts kind of studio, or maybe a gallery. I've always been interested in paintings and would love to show more of that, but it's also something that will evolve into a lot more. I'd love to bring in more wahine artists or just more indigenous artists. I have a space now that is more welcoming to and to artists around the world, even community. I'm open to any women. A lot of people visit me and just want to meet me and just want to see it and just want to be a part of what I do and see what I do. So just yesterday, I met with someone at the studio that really inspired me, even doing her artistic creations too, through drumming or just all kind of different creations that people make. But the studio to me, of course, we do a lot of tattoo work there. I have an artist, Ben, there now, my friend and artist from San Francisco. He's amazing, and I've already learned a lot from him. So I'd like to have it more welcoming for diverse people, for older women. I tattoo a lot of women and we're over 60, that they just feel a lot more comfortable with me and want to get their first tattoos done at this studio. So I'm really open and welcome to more artists coming from around the world and from around the islands even. And I know that the right ones will come, and the name itself was for giving life and promoting wellness, for healing, and for my tattoos to last for the long term. The longevity of art also is that think of work you're doing and the tattoos you want to last far beyond your life here. You want it to really carry out towards, something a lot bigger than you, even when you're not here. So this studio is just the beginning. I'm not highly educated like some Hawaiians are or have had certain backgrounds, but I wanted to at least build that space and environment to welcome unique artists and ones that might not fit in at going to conventions or doing the typical tattoo lifestyle and world you see sometimes. I'm more part of the inner world than the external world, even though what I'm doing is on the body and it's on our skin and we're wearing it, but I'm in the business of healing. So, send me an email and we'd love to have you all visit. I also, recently had Nainoa come. He's definitely an amazing young artist here on Big Island, and you can probably find his work through the Instagram. And he's learning to tattoo, and it's something it kind of fell into place in the right way. I tattoo his mom in Ohana, so it just naturally worked out, and I could see him going very far. And I hope to just create more opportunities for women to feel comfortable with art and talking about it in a more just a private setting, So my intention behind this studio is definitely through the healing arts. And it will evolve as time goes on, but I'm very excited for what's to come next year. I got a lot of plans.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think this has been a really wonderful experience, and I just want to thank you again for opening up and sharing so much about your story. I think it's super important, and it's so great to have your perspective. And I just want to open up the space for if there's anything that you want to share that's like compelling you right now, or if you can think of anything else.
I would just say ho'omau to everyone, because right now this time is really crazy. We live in such an amazing time, but it's also a very scary and almost kind of dangerous time. What we say and do can just be so, misunderstood in different ways, or through online and just through this pandemic and everything. That don't forget about the arts. Don't forget about how you can help yourself through it by some means of an art form, or even getting your keikis into it more. I would just definitely say that art is a needed it's so needed, and artists are people we should cherish in this life because they can really bring a whole different side to your life and be able to keep you on your journey and on your path. And art, and through the arts, is that healing form that I'm all about. I just hope everyone can I don't know, just I hope this helped for anyone wanting to get work from me. I don't always have the right words to say or how to explain it, but I feel like my work speaks for itself, and I do my best to translate it in a way that will fit you and that you've dreamt about and that you think about for yourself. That's part of the work I do. But yeah, keep the art going.
Yeah. And I remember you saying that you speak through your work and through your art, and I definitely seen that. But I think the message that you've portrayed today has also been powerful. And
Thank you.
so much, and thank you everyone for joining and for your comments and for your sharing. I know that we've talked about vulnerable topics today too. I think it's important, and I think this is just an important reminder of the role that art and healing plays in our communities, in all aspects of our communities, right? So in our interactions with each other, but also our interactions with land.
Yes.
So thank you so much. And thank you, Laurel, for helping with chat and with organizing. And thank you, Matt Lynch, for helping organize as well. Yeah, and I think with that, thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, mahalo, everyone. Thank you for listening in and all your support and all my clients through the years. And in the East Side, I have many of you watching, and I see you. Hi, Angela. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you, Anya.
Seagulls fly, I'm at my table, just gray skies.